Now, let's dig a little bit more into the concept of validity. Remember, sentences, true, false. Sentences are premises, true, false. Arguments, collections of sentences. Arguments are not true and false. Arguments are valid. Use the term deductive, so deductive, valid, same thing. I'm going to use those interchangeably. Arguments can be sound, arguments can be good. We're digging more into the concept of validity because it's a little bit subtle. Remember, the basic idea of validity is that the premises completely support the conclusion, and they support them such that if you accept the premises as true, you must accept the conclusion as true. But the premises could, in fact, be false. We're going to get to the cases of a valid argument that has true premises, but right now we're just concentrating on understanding this concept, and it's rather subtle, of validity. Let's go back to our argument that we had in the last video. Joe's taller than Sam, Sam's taller than Ted, Joe's taller than Ted. If the premises are true, then the conclusion must be true. Are the premises in fact true? Who knows? Who cares right now? We're simply saying that if they are true, then the conclusion must be true. Now, I want to help you understand the notion of validity by performing a couple of abstractions. Now, our English term abstract comes from the Latin term abstractus, which basically means to draw away. So when you're abstracting, you're drawing away from content. You're pulling away or you're leaving behind, whichever one you want, whichever sort of visual image works for you. But to abstract is to abstract from. It's like to pull away. I'm going to abstract. Like if I look at an apple and I say the apple is just spherical, I'm abstracting from all kinds of things. For instance, I just talked about the shape when I say spherical. Well, I've abstracted from the color. Maybe it's a green Granny Smith or a red Macintosh or whatever, or a kind of a ruddy orangey red kind of crabapple, whatever. By just saying spherical, I've performed an abstraction. I've drawn away from. Let's start with this argument, full content. Joe, like persons and relationships that we know about, like the relationship between Joe and Sam, is one is taller than the other. So this is all very concrete. Validity is very abstract. So let's perform some abstractions. Let's draw away first from the concrete individuals. I'm replacing them with variables, but I have to be consistent. So Joe, I'm going to replace with X. Sam, I'm going to replace with Y. And then Ted, I'm replacing with Z. So what does the argument look like under this consistent substitution of variables for names? We do this in algebra all the time. We do this in math. And so we can do this with language as well. So you go from the full concrete one to a more abstract one. X is taller than Y is taller than Z, X is taller than Z. So clearly, I think the whole underlying form of the argument starts to appear, because you could understand that the premises completely support the conclusion here, and you don't even know what we're talking about. Are we talking about like human beings, like adults, children? Are we talking about animals, like maybe talking about giraffes, right? You're working at the zoo and you're talking about giraffes here. Certain giraffes have different heights. Maybe you're talking about buildings, right? One building's taller than another, etc., etc. So, but here we're still concrete because we are talking about a relationship, a concrete relationship, namely taller than. So we have performed one abstraction, right? One example of the abstractus, the drawing away from persons.